Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of my kitchen, the morning light spilling through the window like liquid gold, catching the steam rising from my coffee mug. There's a quiet hum in the air, the kind that settles into your bones when life feels just a little too steady. My name's Sophia, I'm 32, and this is my world. A carefully curated slice of suburban perfection that sometimes feels more like a beautiful cage than a home. I've been married to Jake for 6 years now, and at 38, he's the kind of man who commands a room without even trying. As the director of a major tech company, he's got this magnetic pull. Driven, charismatic, always on the move. I see it in the way his eyes light up when he talks about a new project, or how he'll flash me that crooked smile after a long day, even when he's exhausted. We've built a life together that most would envy, nestled in an upscale neighborhood with manicured lawns and neighbors who wave a little too enthusiastically. But beneath the surface, there's a strain, a quiet tension that creeps in when his late nights at the office stack up, leaving me to fill the silence with my own thoughts. I'm not just a wife waiting for her husband to come home, though. I work part-time as a freelance graphic designer, which gives me the freedom to set my own hours. It's fulfilling, don't get me wrong. Seeing a client's vision come to life under my fingertips is a rush. But there are days when I stare at my laptop screen, the cursor blinking back at me, and I can't help but crave something more. Something unpredictable. Something that makes my heart race just a little faster. Jake knows this about me, even if we don't always say it out loud. He tries to bridge the gap, carving out moments for us despite his packed schedule. Like last night, when he came home with takeout from my favorite Thai place, and we sat on the couch, legs tangled under a blanket, laughing over nothing in particular. Those are the moments I hold on to. Then there's Ryan, one of Jake's colleagues at the company. He's 35, a senior manager with a sharp wit that cuts through any dull conversation like a knife. I've met him a handful of times at corporate events, those stiff, champagne-fueled gatherings where I'm usually just the plus one. Ryan's got this easy smile, the kind that lingers in your mind long after he's walked away, and a charm that makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. I've always found him intriguing, though I've never let my thoughts wander too far. He's just a familiar face in Jake's orbit, someone who makes small talk feel like a game of chess. Every word deliberate, every laugh a little too knowing. But that's as far as it's ever gone. My life with Jake is the center of everything, even if it sometimes feels like we're coasting on autopilot. Our days have. I woke up to the soft gray light of dawn creeping through the bedroom curtains, the kind of morning that feels like it's holding its breath. My alarm hadn't even gone off yet, but my mind was already buzzing with the thought of the trip ahead. I rolled out of bed, the cool hardwood floor sending a shiver up my bare feet as I padded over to the closet. I grabbed a small overnight bag, tossing in just the essentials, a change of clothes, a toothbrush, and a book I'd been meaning to finish. The house was quiet, save for the faint drip of the coffee maker in the kitchen, where I knew Jake was already up, prepping for the day. I pulled on a casual sundress, the light fabric brushing against my skin, and made my way downstairs. There he was, sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by a scatter of papers and his laptop. Jake's brow was furrowed as he reviewed his conference notes, a pen tucked behind his ear, his coffee mug half empty. I poured myself a cup, the rich, bitter aroma grounding me as I leaned against the counter, watching him. He glanced up, that familiar crooked smile breaking through his focus, and for a moment, the world felt right. We didn't say much, just shared the silence, the steam curling up from our mugs like little whispers. Outside, the driveway was still. Jake's sleek black SUV parked and waiting, its polished surface catching the first rays of sunlight. Not long after, I heard the crunch of tires on gravel. Ryan pulled up in his own car, a silver sedan that looked like it had seen better days but still had a certain charm. He stepped out, all easy confidence, and waved as he approached. The three of us started loading up, tossing bags into the trunk of Jake's SUV with a rhythm that felt almost rehearsed. Ryan's voice cut through the morning air as he tossed a duffel in, grinning at me. "That dress looks good on you, Sophia. Really suits the whole getaway vibe." I laughed it off, a warmth creeping up my cheeks, but I didn't linger on it. Just a compliment. Nothing more. Jake chuckled too, shaking his head as he slammed the trunk shut, and we piled into the car. Me in the front passenger seat, Jake behind the wheel, and Ryan sprawling out in the back like he owned the place. The drive started out smooth as butter. Jake turned on the radio, classic rock humming low through the speakers, a familiar tune that felt like the soundtrack to 1,000 memories. Ryan was in rare form, leaning forward from the back seat to crack jokes about the latest office drama. Who was sucking up to who? Which manager had botched a presentation? His sharp wit had us both laughing, though Jake kept his eyes on the road, only tossing in a dry comment here and there. I settled into my seat, letting the rhythm of the drive wash over me, my gaze drifting out the window as the city started to fade behind us. The highway stretched out like a ribbon, cutting through the endless green of pine trees and the occasional flicker of a passing car. I'm still in the front seat of Jake's SUV, the leather cool against my skin, though the air inside feels heavier now, thicker with something I can't quite name. We've been on the road for a couple of hours when Jake suddenly curses under his breath, the car slowing as he pulls over to the shoulder. A flat tire, of all the rotten luck. He mutters something about checking the spare and steps out, leaving the driver's door open as a gust of forest air rushes in, sharp and earthy. I watch him through the side mirror, his broad shoulders hunched as he kneels by the wheel, completely focused on the task at hand. He's always been like that, zeroing in on a problem until it's solved, oblivious to everything else. I turn slightly in my seat, glancing back at Ryan, who's still sprawled across the back, one arm resting casually along the top of the seat. I figure I'll keep things light, distract myself from the delay. "So, Ryan, what's the conference gonna be like? Any big reveals we should know about?" My voice is casual, maybe a little too bright, but I'm trying to fill the silence. He tilts his head, his eyes meeting mine, and there's something in his gaze that makes my stomach twist, a kind of intensity that wasn't there before, or maybe I just hadn't noticed. "Oh, it'll be the usual," he says, his tone smooth, almost too smooth. "Boring speeches, bad coffee, but I'm more interested in the side events." His words hang there, heavy with implication, and I force a small laugh, brushing it off as I turn my eyes back to the window. Jake's still out there, wrestling with the tire iron, his focus unbreakable. He hasn't heard a thing. I'm about to say something else, anything to steer the conversation back to safe ground, when I feel it. Ryan's hand brushing against my arm. It's light at first, almost accidental, but then his fingers linger, warm against my skin, tracing a slow path that sends a jolt through me. My breath catches, and my first instinct is to pull away, to put distance between us. But I don't. I can't. My heart's pounding so hard, I'm sure he can hear it, and my mind is screaming that this is wrong, that I should stop this right now. Jake's just outside, for heaven's sake, yet there's this tiny, reckless part of me, a part I've buried under years of routine and loyalty, that's curious. What if I let this moment stretch just a little longer? What if I don't stop him? The thought terrifies me as much as it thrills me. I hesitate, frozen in place, and that's all the invitation Ryan needs. His hand slides lower, resting on my leg, his touch bold now, the heat of his fingers seeping through the thin fabric of my sundress. I'm caught in a storm of shock and something else, something dangerous, a rush I haven't felt in years. He leans forward, closing the space between us, his breath warm against my ear as he whispers, "Let's keep this quiet, Sophia. No need for him to know." My skin prickles at his words, and before I can think, before I can pull myself back from the edge, he lifts my hand, pressing a soft, deliberate kiss to my knuckles. It's a small gesture, but it feels like a line crossed, a door flung open that I can't shut now. My mind blurs, the forest outside the window turning into a smear of green and shadow as I let myself fall into the moment. It's like I'm watching myself from a distance, unable to stop what's happening. The air in the car feels electric, charged with the risk of it all. Every sound is amplified, our hushed breaths, the faint rustle of fabric, the distant clink of Jake's tools outside. My heart races with the fear of being caught, every second stretching into eternity. Yet there's this undeniable pull, this surge of adrenaline that drowns out the guilt for just a little. I'm still reeling from what just happened in the car, my pulse hammering in my ears as I push the door open and step out onto the gravel shoulder. My legs feel like they're made of jelly, barely holding me up as I force myself to move toward Jake. I can see him up ahead, crouched by the wheel, nearly done with swapping out the flat tire. The forest around us looms tall and silent, the towering pines casting long shadows that seem to close in with every shaky step I take. I'm trying to act normal, to plaster on a mask of calm, but my chest feels tight, like I'm carrying a boulder of guilt that's pressing down harder with every breath. I clear my throat, forcing out a question as I get closer. "Hey, how's it going with the tire?" My voice comes out all wrong, too high, too thin, like I'm a stranger in my own skin. Jake doesn't even look up. He just grunts, a low, distracted sound, his hands still moving with that methodical precision I've always admired. But there's something off about him, something I can't quite pin down. He's too quiet, too closed off, not even tossing me a glance or a quick quip like he usually would. I stand there, a few feet away, shifting my weight from one foot to the other, feeling like an intruder in this moment. The silence between us stretches thin, almost brittle, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves stirring in the breeze. Jake's jaw is set tight, a hard line that I can see even from this angle, like he's clenching his teeth to keep something locked inside. My mind starts to spiral, a whirlwind of paranoia kicking up dust in my head. Did he hear something while he was out here? A muffled sound through the car's tinted windows? Or worse, did he catch a glimpse of a shadow? A movement? Something he wasn't supposed to see? My stomach churns at the thought, a sickening wave of dread washing over me. I've always known Jake to be perceptive, the kind of man who notices the smallest details even when he seems distracted. What if he's piecing it together right now, while I'm standing here pretending everything's fine? I risk a quick glance back at the SUV, my eyes darting to the back seat where Ryan is still lounging, his posture all casual indifference as he scrolls through his phone. He looks like he doesn't have a care in the world, like the charged moment we just shared. Those stolen touches, that whispered promise of secrecy, never even happened. A flare of resentment burns in my chest, hot and sharp. How can he sit there so unaffected while I'm out here unraveling, my nerves frayed to the breaking point? But beneath that anger there's fear, cold and creeping, wrapping its fingers around my throat. What if Jake knows? What if he's just waiting for the right moment to say something, to let the hammer fall? I turn my gaze back to him, watching as he tightens the last lug nut with a final, deliberate twist of the wrench. He stands up slowly, wiping his hands on a rag, the motion almost too measured, too controlled. "Tires fixed," he mutters, his voice low, barely above a growl. He still won't meet my eyes, and that avoidance cuts deeper than any words could. We start walking back to the car together, side by side. But there's a chasm between us, an invisible wall I can't cross. I'm hyper-aware of every step, the crunch of gravel under my shoes sounding too loud in the oppressive quiet of the forest. My skin prickles with the expectation of confrontation, every second ticking by like a countdown to disaster. I'm waiting for him to stop, to turn to me with that piercing look of his and demand an explanation. My mind races through excuses, half-formed lies that crumble before I can even grasp them. But he doesn't say a word, just keeps walking, his shoulders squared, his stride steady. We reach the SUV, and I slide into the front passenger seat, the leather creaking under me as I settle in. Jake gets behind the wheel. I'm sitting there in the front seat of Jake's SUV, the leather sticking to my skin as the tension in the air presses down on me like a physical weight. My heart hasn't stopped racing since we got back in the car, and every breath feels like it's caught in my throat. Jake starts the engine, the low rumble vibrating through the vehicle, but he doesn't say a thing. His hands grip the steering wheel, knuckles pale, and his eyes are locked on the road ahead as if he's staring into some distant, unreachable place. I steal a glance at him, searching for any hint of what he's thinking, but his face is a mask, unreadable, cold, and so unlike the man I've shared my life with for 6 years. The silence between us is suffocating, thicker than the forest air outside, and it's all I can do to keep from fidgeting, from letting my nerves spill out in some clumsy, desperate attempt to fill the void. I turn my head just enough to catch a glimpse of Ryan in the back seat through the corner of my eye. He's still got that casual air about him, one leg crossed over the other, his phone resting loosely in his hand like nothing in the world could rattle him. But there's a flicker of something in his expression now, a subtle tightness around his mouth, a quick dart of his eyes toward the rearview mirror. Does he feel it too, this unspoken storm brewing? Or is he just waiting to see how this plays out, as detached as ever? My mind is a mess, replaying every second of what happened while Jake was outside, every stolen touch and whispered word that felt like a betrayal even as it sent a thrill through me. I thought I'd buried that reckless part of myself long ago, but now it's clawing its way to the surface, leaving me raw and exposed. The forest outside blurs past us, the towering pines casting jagged shadows across the car, their dark shapes dancing over the dashboard like specters. I'm lost in my thoughts, drowning in the what-ifs and the weight of my own guilt, when Jake's voice cuts through the silence like a blade. It's low, almost too calm, and it sends a shiver down my spine. "Go on, Sophia. I'm not mad, I just want to see." My breath stops. The world stops. I sit there, frozen, my mind scrambling to process what I've just heard. Did he really say that? Is this some kind of twisted test? A trap I'm walking straight into? I turn my head slowly, almost afraid to look at him, but his eyes are still fixed on the road, unblinking, as if he's driving through a memory instead of the present. There's a strange edge to his tone, a detached curiosity that makes my stomach twist in ways I can't name. I open my mouth to speak, to ask if he's serious, but no words come. My throat is dry, my thoughts a tangled knot of disbelief and dread. I glance back at Ryan, hoping for some kind of cue, some sign that I'm not losing my mind. His expression mirrors my shock for a fleeting second, his brows lifting just enough to show he's as thrown as I am. But then, almost imperceptibly, he gives a slight nod, a silent agreement to go along with whatever this is. My hands tremble as I shift in my seat, the leather creaking under me, every movement feeling amplified in the suffocating stillness of the car. The forest outside seems to close in tighter, the shadows growing longer, darker, as if they're witnesses to this surreal moment I can't escape. My heart is a drum in my chest, pounding so hard I'm sure they can both hear it. I don't know what Jake expects, what he means by see, but the implication hangs heavy. A dare wrapped in a question. There's fear coursing through me, sharp and cold. But beneath it, there's something else. A confusing rush of adrenaline, a spark of something forbidden that I can't seem to extinguish. I turn further, my gaze locking with Ryan's for a moment, and there's an unspoken understanding there, a mutual recognition of the line I'm still in the front seat of Jake's SUV, the leather beneath me feeling like a tether to reality as my mind spins out of control. The silence that follows Jake's chilling words is a living thing, pressing against me, suffocating me with its weight. My hands are trembling, and I clasp them together in my lap, trying to steady myself, but it's no use. My thoughts are a chaotic storm, replaying every second of what just unfolded, every reckless choice that led to this moment. Did Jake really mean what he said? Was it some kind of test, a way to gauge my reaction, or is there something darker lurking beneath his calm exterior? I can't look at him, can't bear to see whatever truth might be hiding in his eyes, so I fix my gaze out the window instead, watching the endless stretch of highway roll by. The rest of the drive to the conference city feels like an eternity dragged out into unbearable detail. The world outside shifts from dense forest to sparse outskirts, where gas stations and diners flicker past like forgotten memories. The trees thin out, replaced by the gray sprawl of industrial buildings, their faded signs and rusted edges blurring together as I stare, unseeing. Every now and then, a semi-truck roars by, the sound a brief interruption to the oppressive quiet inside the car. I can't bring myself to glance at Jake, not even for a second, and I know he's not looking at me either. His hands are still tight on the wheel, his posture rigid, as if he's holding himself together by sheer will. In the back, Ryan doesn't make a sound, doesn't offer a single word to break the tension. I can feel his presence, though, like a shadow I can't shake, and I wonder if he's as unsettled as I am, or if he's just biding his time. My mind won't stop racing, looping back to that moment by the roadside, to the charged air between Ryan and me, and then to Jake's cryptic statement. Did he know all along? Was this some twisted game he orchestrated? Or did his words come from a place of raw, spontaneous hurt? I dissect every memory of the past few hours, searching for clues in the way Jake's jaw clenched when he fixed the tire, in the way his voice sounded so eerily detached. The uncertainty gnaws at me, a relentless ache that I can't soothe. I want to scream, to demand answers, but the silence holds me captive, a prison I can't escape. Hours later, we finally pull into the city, the skyline rising like a jagged promise against the late afternoon haze. The hotel looms ahead, a sleek tower of glass and steel, and Jake navigates into the parking lot with mechanical precision. We step out, the air heavy with the scent of exhaust and distant rain, and grab our bags from the trunk without a word. Checking in at the front desk feels like a surreal ritual. My voice is flat as I confirm our reservation, the clerk's polite smile a stark contrast to the storm inside me. Jake stands a few feet away, his focus on his phone, while Ryan lingers near the entrance, his expression unreadable. We move through the lobby like strangers, avoiding each other's eyes as we head to the elevators, the polished floors reflecting our disjointed trio. Jake and I share a suite, a fact that feels like a cruel irony as we step inside. The room is spacious, with 2 separate beds draped in crisp white linens, a wide window overlooking the city's restless pulse. I set my bag down near the farthest bed, claiming my space without discussion, and Jake does the same on the other side of the room. We don't speak, don't acknowledge the chasm between us. That night, I lie awake under the stiff sheets, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the air conditioning and the distant sound of Jake's steady breathing. My mind replays everything, a torturous loop of guilt and confusion, and I wonder if he's awake too, wrestling with his own thoughts, or if he somehow found peace in the silence. The next day at the conference, everything appears normal on the surface, a facade so polished it almost fools me. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.